Introduction to the Chaotic God of the Heavenly Way. The sixth part of the Heavenly Way Seeking Destiny series. Destiny chess piece Seresine story continues. Preface 1 cut, retracing the source. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Where exactly is the source? Taoism. The Demon Clan. Dragon. Non-divine association. Or me. On the way back from the desert, Xia Bofei remained silent. A gloomy face. I know he's waiting for me to tell him everything that happened after he was imprisoned by the shadows. And when I responded to him, there was only silence. I don't know how to explain, but I can't explain either. Absurd old priest, inexplicably the illegitimate son of the Rochter family. Simon, who had a vague message, was once a member of the Shapiro family and the adopted son of the Rochter family. Just guarding a word, a mysterious zombie guardian in a puddle. Oh. And that huge queen bug and her beetle. When we left the guardian area, the guardians also turned back and walked back to their hiding place. One of the guardians, in the moment of disappearing into the sand, threw a large stack of talismans into the air, accompanied by inexplicable terms. The stack of talismans perfectly scattered on the ground into a talisman array. A talisman array similar to a magic array. The one summoned from the formation is a huge insect queen. The same insect queen as the one killed by Ashtaro. I believe that in the near future, there will be beetles hatched after being infested with insects again, right? The giant beetle queen, who leads a powerful swarm of beetles, is only a guardian talisman summoning beast. This kind of summoning technique far beyond mainland magic really surprised everyone present. An incredibly powerful Taoist technique, a powerful zombie guardian manipulated by talismans, the blood of the elusive Rochter family. The blood of the Rochter family that can be recognized by the guardian and unlock the secret of the guardian. My blood. Additionally, the missing Eastern Taoist master, Sakura's master, and by Lauda. And the demon clan commissioned by the Taoist priest to investigate. There is also a message that can only be heard as following, praying, or returning home, which is highly valued by Taoist priests and demonic tribes, and is a legacy message of a guardian place. Everything is in a mess. A chaotic experience, chaotic connections. From beginning to end, I was just a bystander who was originally just watching without any concern, but unexpectedly fell into an event, without any purpose or preparation. In the end, there was nothing to be gained. No, it's not without gains. At least, behind this series of inexplicable and chaotic events, I have discovered a hidden clue that has been overlooked. A clue that is not a key, but is likely to guide the search for the key to unlock the desert mystery. Where did the waterway extend from the ruins of the moon god to the place of protection come from? Chapter 1. Strategy, Access Qualifications. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Duke of Solna's mansion is different from the Count's mansion in my family's stronghold of Rochter Castle. It is a standard aristocratic mansion, yes, standard, just like the Duke of Solna, the general father of Shapiri. Standard gates, standard courtyards, standard fountains, and standard mansion styles. As the official residence of the descendants of the 12 nobles, it looks like it was bestowed 200 years ago. Upon closer inspection, apart from regular repairs, there is no change at all. Compared to other extremely luxurious buildings in the aristocratic district, it appears very unique. A military family. Although I have visited several times before, every time I pass through the quaint and rusty side door with Shapiro, I still feel deeply moved. Even the family heirs who have been stationed outside for many years can only wait for the gatekeeper to announce their return and can only enter through the side door with permission. This is a testament to the strict family tradition of the Duke of Solna. Well, that's how I cultivated Xia Bofei, a fool who only knows military but not personnel. If Charlotte's father, Duke of Solna, is also as incompetent as Charlotte. I wonder if my request can be answered. The emblem of the Losmeyer family. Originally, I was only investigating the waterway of the moon god ruins, but unexpectedly discovered the emblem of the Losmeyer family. The family emblem of Shapify Losmeyer. This emblem is printed neatly on the ancient maintenance map of the ruins fountain, and is inherited and orderly preserved in the family of craftsmen responsible for regular maintenance of the ruins. That is to say, a long, long time ago, a member of the Shapiro family participated in the construction of the entire moon god ruins fountain. In order to ensure that the waterway leading to the guarded land would continue to exist after the year of Nogan, a very strict maintenance map was left, so that future craftsmen would not arbitrarily maintain and cut off the waterway. The family emblem of the family guarding this land was also printed, and the order to preserve the waterway as the Lord was passed down. By the way, the function of the waterway leading to the guarded land marked in the maintenance diagram is to prevent excessive fountain water from overflowing and flushing the pool. Therefore, before the fountain pool is full, the water is directed into a fixed underground flow. The outlet of the waterway is the entrance to the underground flow. Originally, only Shapiro was my friend. Unexpectedly, Shapiro's family had also formed a connection with me. Reminiscent of when the second son of the Shapiro family, Simon, adopted my great-grandfather and planned to inherit the Rocktal family, perhaps there are far more things happening between the Xia Bofei family and my family than I imagined. So, I decided to tell Shapiro everything that had happened in the past few days, as well as my reasoning, and then made my request to him. "Father, that's how things went." Facing Duke Solna with a serious expression from beginning to end, Shabafi carefully reported everything. Of course, everything here refers to everything I had told him in advance. The sudden annihilation of the Terra army, the appearance of the demon tribe, the purpose of the demon tribe, and the family emblem on the maintenance map of the moon god ruins. As for what could cause trouble to the family, the fewer people I know about my blood curse and so on, the better. Less. Ah. Count Rockter wants to apply to access our family's collection. Count Rocktal, after listening to Shapify's report, Duke Sorna looked up and down at me with a slightly regretful expression, and then said in his usual calm tone, "The little dog has caused you trouble." "No, no, he has been taking care of me all the time." I knew it was a polite remark, but Duke Solna's solemn and serious expression forced me to bow slightly forward and respectfully reply. "You are the hero who saved our country and the count who inherited the title of one of the 12 nobles. It's not inappropriate to access the library of our Losmeyer family library," said Solna, twirling his slightly grayish beard. "But, after all, this will involve family secrets. Unless I can prove myself to be qualified, right?" I smiled bitterly and waved my powerless right hand. "Shapiro told me before, but look at me now." "Hee, I'm not unaware of how you look now, Count," Solna smiled. "It's not necessary to use a sword to prove your qualifications. In fact, there are other ways. Sure enough, I still need to prove that I have the ability to qualify. But, do you want me to prove my strength? A useless person who can't even stand steadily without crutches." "So, Les, you only have one way to think about it," said Shapiro, the idiot who had explained the family rules before, laughing confidently. "Marry my sister, Les, you are a member of our Losmeyer family, so naturally. Marry your sister to a useless person who could die at any moment and can't even hold a teacup. I really don't understand how Xia Bofei's brain grows. And now, I hope that as Shapiro's father, the Duke of Solna will not have such foolish thoughts." "So, what do you mean?" I carefully chose my words. "We are a military family," Solna chuckled slightly, "but that doesn't mean that getting qualified in our family must rely on force, does it? Is it possible that your military talent, Count Rocktal, is only fighting on the battlefield?" It seems that the only idiot in the Losmeyer family is Shapify. At least his father wouldn't have thought of such a brilliant idea. Of course, there is actually a simpler way. I heard that Count Rocktal is not married yet. Just withdrew my idea. These father and son have the same brain. Haha. I'm just mentioning it. If you're in trouble, Count, let's forget about it. Fortunately, Solna's ability to observe words and colors is much higher than his son's. When he saw me not speaking, he smiled and said, "May I ask, Count, what would you do if you were the commander? Chief of the Battle of Solace." The Battle of Solace. I didn't expect the Duke of Solna's topic to change so quickly, and I couldn't react for a moment. Well, it was the battle that earned you the title of Red-Eyed Meteor Hero, Solna nodded. From the records, it can be seen that you did raise many doubts that needed to be warned before the war, and also put forward many insightful suggestions. What I want to know is, what would you do if you were appointed as the Supreme Commander during that pre-war meeting? Me. I can. After a moment of contemplation, I replied fluently, "It's not wrong to choose the battlefield on the Solace Plain. It's not so much a choice, but rather the only best battlefield suitable for us with cavalry as our main force. I share the same strategy as the old marshal. As for the Taek soldiers, who split into two routes and used the main cavalry as bait, but used the mercenary army as their main force, no one expected. The strength of the buried mercenary army was even more surprising to everyone. So it's estimated that there is no better strategy for sniping the mercenary army. So, blocking the mercenary army. The overall strategic policy of concentrating superior forces to annihilate the Knight's Order will not change, I concluded after a pause, so I believe that even if I were to be the commander, I could not do better than the old marshal. The only possible difference is that after the war, I would not be eager to win and would not want to completely annihilate the main force of Taek. I would gradually add troops according to the battle situation, instead of just blowing the charge horn like the old marshal did and pressing it all in one breath. In short, losing is certain, I sighed. Taek's entire strategy was too unconventional and well prepared, which I couldn't imagine. What if, after the start of the war, the enemy's situation is unclear and they cannot defend themselves? Duke Solna asked again. Can't hold on to it. It's impossible. Why? Duke Seline asked as he glanced at Shapiro. She stood with her hand down as if she had done something wrong. Why? I shrugged my shoulders helplessly and smiled bitterly. At that time, the general's desire to fight and make achievements was so urgent. Can I resist it? Taek has been raging in our country for almost a month. If he were to bear the charge of fearing war and not advancing, who could bear it? That battle was already a must-win battle. Losing or drawing is not something that the king and the people can tolerate, let alone the situation at that time. The enemy cavalry was completely annihilated, the infantry was scattered and in disarray, and the infantry that rushed out did not form in formation. The entire battlefield is the most suitable plain for cavalry to gallop on. Anyone would think that this is a rare fighter jet. Even if I don't give orders, there will definitely be generals who can't help but lead their troops to rush up first. As long as one unit rushes out, can the other team still endure it? The result is not the same. I spread my hands. Besides, half of our 40,000 cavalry are private soldiers of various lords. How can we make them obedient to military orders with peace of mind? Beautiful. Duke of Solna smiled with satisfaction. It's good to say, you're defeated. Shapiro. Do you know the difference? Yes. Shapiro lowered her head respectfully. My son has always admired Count Rocktal. Study hard. The battlefield is not just a competition between commanders, sometimes the competition between people's hearts is more important. This is what you lack now. Chapter 2. Emblem, Derived Conjecture. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 3. Chatting and Expressing Hearts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Will you go to the demon world, Lord Count? Little Fry didn't pay attention to my fleeting thoughts and asked with a curious and hopeful gaze. Me. I don't have that plan. I left Rockter City to avoid Ruth and Legosis. How could I go there knowing they were in the demon world? So. There was a hint of disappointment in her childish voice. Can you follow Xia Bofiai? Anyway, that guy will be appointed to go to war sooner or later. Viscount. Not willing. But I am your servant, sir. Who will take care of you after I leave? It's not easy, let that idiot send someone over again. You'll become Xia Bofiai's attendant, and the spot next to that guy happens to be vacant. And aren't you the one who admires him the most? It's different. Little Fry's eyes, which were as dark as night, flashed with a determined light. I am the Count's attendant, and I will only follow you, the Count. I am truly grateful that the Count has changed my life. Don't hate me taking you away from home. Hate. Ah. What are you talking about? How could that be possible? Little Fry widened his eyes in surprise. If it weren't for you, Count, I might have spent my whole life in that dark and cramped blacksmith shop. I would never have had the chance to read so many books, nor would I have had the chance to escape my adoptive father. Adoptive father. Not your biological father. I wonder. Ah. Lord, don't you know? You didn't investigate when you chose me as your attendant. Little Fry was even more surprised than me. You chose me as your attendant without investigating. I just feel sorry that you were beaten by your father in the shop. Coincidentally, Xia Bofiai asked me if I had any special requirements, so she casually asked for you as a servant. Unhappy. As Little Fry began to feel down, I suddenly remembered that becoming a noble attendant was a great honor for a commoner child like Little Fry. This meant that his abilities were recognized by the nobility and he had grown into a trustworthy and entrusted person. Ah. I underestimated you. I'm sorry. Appointing him as a servant as casually as I do may seem a bit disrespectful to him. No. Seeing that I wanted to apologize, Little Fry blushed and waved his hand in panic. I mean. Your heart is so kind, sir. I'm glad to be your attendant. I'll never leave you for a lifetime. For a lifetime. Then I'll have a headache. Aren't you dreaming of becoming Xia Bofiai's staff? Is that after becoming someone like you, Count? Besides, even if you become Lord Shapiro's staff, aren't you still with Lord Shapiro? I have a lot to learn from you, Count. If you want to be a staff member for Xia Baifei, just learning from me is not enough. I reached out and rubbed his little head. Your Highness, I can only help Xia Baifei in some aspects. If you want to become someone who can help Xia Baifei for a lifetime, you still need to learn systematically. I will write a letter of recommendation in a while, asking you to go to the Royal Academy to study well for a few years. I don't want Xia Baifei's army to be here with me, this useless person, for a lifetime in the future. But when the time comes, you can go to the demon world on my behalf and learn about everything in the demon world. You can also bring me some gifts from the demon world as well. Are you talking about the demon realm? What? My family has a connection with the demon realm. During the conversation, the door to the library was pushed open, and Xia Bofiai, dressed in deep blue military attire, walked in. No, we're talking about Journey to the Demon Realm. I pointed to the book that Little Fry had just placed on his lap and added, it's nothing to do with your family. Oh. Have you noticed anything these days? No, I hesitated for a moment before deciding not to tell Shapiro about my speculation. After all, it's just an unfounded inference. After reviewing your family tree in basic biographies, I haven't found anything useful yet. The only thing I can confirm is what you previously knew. There is some unknown relationship between your family and the moon god ruins. Oh. Shaberfino nodded thoughtfully. What's up? I'm not worried that Xia Bofei will find out that I'm hiding something. It's strange with his brain that's interested in the battlefield, but his hesitant expression still seems a bit strange. Didn't you go to the fortress? Why did you come back just a month ago? The fortress was lost. You just lost it. Xia Bofei laughed and scolded, then explained, I received a transfer order. Transfer orders. Well, order me to hand over the command of the fortress to the deputy and report to the military headquarters tomorrow. Leave it to the deputy. Are you coming back alone? I was surprised. No, it's not me alone. I even ordered my hyenas group to keep the necessary defenders and secretly bring them all back. Has the hyena eagle group also been brought back? I pondered. Interesting. Didn't Captain Hironi want to preserve the elite fortress unit of Shapiri before? Why are they suddenly called back? Is frontline warfare tight? No news, right? The place where I am currently located is the aristocratic district of the capital city, not far from the imperial city, and I have not heard any unfavorable news. And I have secretly brought back the troops. What do you want this elite team to do? What did you think of? Xia Bofei couldn't help but ask, seeing that I had been silent for a long time. Let's hear it. There's too little information, how do you ask me to analyze it? I gave him a blank glance. Tomorrow, you go to the military headquarters to report. If there's any situation, come back later. I'm just saying it's interesting, but I think it's a bit strange to call you back during this peaceful period. Oh. Dot. 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 What's up? You're not leaving yet. What's up? I asked as I looked at Xia Bofei standing in front of me, hesitating to speak. Actually, it's not a big deal. Usually, when you rub your fingers unnaturally with your right hand over there, and you say it's not a big deal, even if it's not a big deal, it can be frustrating for me. I frowned and looked at the increasingly difficult idiot. Stop hesitating, speak quickly. So. Did I just say that? Nonsense. Actually. After hesitating for a while, Xia Bofei finally made up her mind. Actually. Before I came here, I had seen Morency. Ah. Morency. Your sister. Isn't she attending church school? School holiday. She heard that you were in the library and wanted to come see you with me, but I stopped her. Well. It's pretty good. It's rare for you to do something good. I don't want to get involved with any girls now. But. I've told you everything about your situation. Xia Bofei smiled apologetically. Oh. Dot. Xia Bofei, who was prepared for being scolded, couldn't help but be taken aback when she saw that my reaction was dull. What's going on? Are you not angry? What's so annoying? As I expected. It would be strange if you idiot could hide it from your sister. The only thing I didn't expect was that you told me everything so quickly. I thought you could at least keep it a few months away. Hee hee. Xia Bofei smiled foolishly, it's good if you're not angry. But. Is it difficult? Is there any further text? Morency said. She said she still likes you. What? I was taken aback and then exclaimed in surprise, are you sure? Sure, Xia Bofei nodded confidently, my sister said she still likes you. Are you sure you like me, this useless person? I emphasized my tone on useless person, are you sure you made it clear to her? Are you sure you told her that the person from the past year is not me? The person she dated and danced with is not me now. Is the so-called hero or the so-called red-eyed meteor someone else pretending? Is the real me just a useless person who can't stand steadily? I've said it all. This. How could it be? I sighed weakly. How could they still like me after all they said? How could they? I have been cheated. The so-called love story is just a false foam. How can I still like this rubbish? Have I become stronger as a bait for the dragon? How could that be? Didn't the dragon's attention shift to Sakura? So why would Xia Bofiai's sister Morency tell her brother that she still likes me? I only met and talked to her once in a while, and that time she cried and ran away. How could you still like me? Do you still like my false illusion? Impotent waste. Where exactly was the mistake made? Chapter 4. Facing the face and realizing reality. You are listening at novelfull.audio. That's the fact. Shapiro's expression was calm, without any pretense. My sister's feelings for you remain unchanged. Fry, go help Shapify pour a cup of tea. I picked up the water glass and carefully sipped it, trying to calm myself down. At the same time, I gestured for little Fry, who was dumbfounded on the side, to leave. It's better not for children to get involved in this awkward topic. Are you really sure? Are you sure you told her that Seresine Rocktal from over a year isn't me? I said. Shapiro nodded, but Morency said she didn't just like you for over a year. She liked you 4 years ago. 4 years ago? Yes, 4 years ago. I rubbed my nose inexplicably. Did I have any interaction with her 4 years ago? Did you forget? The time you defeated me. Me. Defeating you. I felt even more inexplicable. Is there anything like this? I defeated you. It seems you really forgot. It was 4 years ago when you and I completed a mission together, went to the military headquarters to report, and later had a drink at my house. I have an impression. What happens afterwards? I tried to recall those shattered and chaotic memories from the past. I remember. That day we drank from noon until night, and then. I remember losing the sword fight. Didn't I fall? What's the relationship between our sword fight and your sister Morency? Did you remember stabbing me before you fell that day? No. I just remember one move, meteor sword. Stab, and then I lay on the ground, feeling dizzy and unable to get up. By the way, it seems like you also sat on the ground afterwards. Because you fell to the ground later than me, you even laughed at me. Yes. Xia Bofiai became enthusiastic at this point. Do you remember who helped you stand up? It seems like a little girl who is about the same age as little Fry now. Is she Morency? Yeah. She fell in love with you at that time. What's all this mess? What's your sister's brain? The more I recall, the more headache I get. How could she have liked me at that time? She fell in love with a jerk who smelled like alcohol, was covered in mud, just grinned on the ground, and even stabbed his brother with a sword before. And if I remember correctly, it seems like I vomited all over her. It seems that Morency immediately pushed me away, crying and running away. How could you possibly fall in love with me for such a foolish thing? I like you because you defeated her hero in her heart. Ha! The hero in my heart. Who? You. I understand a bit now. The Xia Bofiai family values strength, and since childhood, their brother, who has excellent swordsmanship and always protects his sister, is naturally the greatest hero in Morency's heart. Once this hero is defeated, according to family tradition, Morency will worship and fall in love with the person who defeated his brother from then on. That's strange. Isn't that too strange? It is rumored that Miss Morency is no less than Princess Legosis, a willful and arrogant noblewoman who saw her brother being stabbed and vomited filth by that person. How could Miss Morency, who has suffered such a great shame, develop love for that person? It's strange not to hate that person to the bone, not to deliberately seek revenge for my brother, and for myself. Even if love arises from hatred, as described in third-rate novels, it is only after repeated failed revenge plans that love arises. How could it be like me? I haven't had any contact with her since that time, okay? Afterwards, I never came to Xia Bofiai's house again, and we had no interaction at all. Understood? Well, just understand. Xia Bofiai's nervous face eased slightly. Understood. I glared at him in frustration, briefly repeating my previous thoughts. In this situation, can you give me a reasonable reason? If you want to win me over, you don't have to use your sister's future as a dowry. But that's the truth. How can you not believe it? How can I believe it? Because my brother was defeated, I fell in love with the person who defeated him and humiliated her. Don't you think this is a joke that only exists in third-rate novels? Besides, that competition was originally a drunken show, how could it be counted? You didn't explain it to your sister. Ah. The bad thing is in the explanation. Xia Bofiai awkwardly chuckled. What's wrong with the explanation? How did you explain it? You know, just like you said earlier, my brother was stabbed, and I, who was kind enough to help, vomited up something dirty. At that time, Marangsi really wanted to stab you to death with a sword. And then? You think, you were my friend, and it was just an accident at the time. How could I not help you speak? So I told Marangsi, we were officially competing in swordsmanship, but we were easily defeated by you, who was drunk. Your swordsmanship is much higher than mine, and you should be considered the first swordsman in the kingdom. Isn't seeking revenge against him like seeking death? And to eliminate her hatred, I occasionally told her many stories of the missions you performed afterwards. So Miss Morency, who originally hated me, was brainwashed by her own brother, thinking that I was a great hero far beyond her foolish brother. Coupled with your family's reverence for strength, she inevitably turned the hero described by her brother into her own idol during several years of growth, and... That's right. That's what's going on. Shapiri clapped happily, just like how you analyzed it, Les. You. I looked at the fool in front of me who was causing my sister to fall into the pit step by step. I really didn't know how to scold him. After thinking for a while, I could only hold back and say, fool. Hee. Xia Bofiai, who was scolded as a fool, just scratched her head awkwardly. Is it clear now? What do you think should be done? Morency has liked you for 4 years, and what she likes is not the illusion created by Asa a year ago. 4 years ago, me. Isn't that still a phantom? It was a phantom created by your foolish brother for her. Don't worry about the illusion, just give me a hearty word, Les. What do you think we should do now? What should I do? What else can I do? If you ask me, what should I do? I pushed back in frustration, I'll trouble you to solve the problem yourself. Is that really possible? I didn't expect Xia Bofiai to show a joyful expression at this moment. Do you agree? Agree on what? Marry Morency. Marry Marangsi. Ha! If it weren't for being a useless person now, I would have jumped up and cursed, Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net, and would have kicked the idiot in front of me a few times. What's in your mind? Straw or garbage? What do you think of your sister? How did you come to this conclusion? I'll tell you again. I'm a useless person. And I'm also a useless person who will die early. I'm a useless person who will cause people around me to lose their vitality too. I have brought misfortune to Xiaodi and Sakura. All the girls who approach me will be unfortunate. Do you understand? Even if I used to be a hero, look at me now, look at me now. I continued to roar as I forcefully supported the armrest of my chair, I'm a useless person. Do you understand? I'm a complete useless person. Let Morency marry a useless person. Are you mentally ill? No. Your Highness, you're not a waste. Perhaps the voice was too loud, right? Even little Fry, who was evading outside, heard it and pushed open the door. Count, you're amazing. You're definitely not a waste, he said. Little Fry is right, Les, you're not a waste, Shapiro interjected. You're my excellent staff, even if you can't stand steady. But don't you still have an excellent mind? I waved my hand weakly, gesturing for little Fry to go out. With a heartfelt sigh, I gave up and fell back into my seat. It was not so much that I was angry at Shapify earlier, but rather at myself, at this incompetent bait. Once again, I realized the reality of powerlessness and faced the fate arrangement I had always wanted to avoid: powerlessness, frustration, and pain. So what if my mind is good? It's impossible for me to bring happiness to your sister like this now. You don't want Morency to become a widow too early, do you? Worse still, she will be infected with the Rochter family curse by me. I died early like that. I'm just a waste. Chapter 5. Prophecy, Family Tradition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Actually, Xia Bofiai said when my emotions calmed down a bit, I actually think it's just right for you to marry Morency. Do you think? What good ideas can you have, you heartless idiot? I teased him weakly. Hee. I know you're smart, Xia Bofiai sneered as she picked up the teacup that little Fry had just brought and explained, of course it's not my idea. It's my mother's. Your mother. I was shocked, and Xia Bofiai's mother suggested this. Will it be the same as my previous speculation about the relationship between the Shapiro family and my Rochter family? Does Shapiro's mother know something? Yes, it's my mother, Xia Bofiai nodded to confirm. My mother said, you are a descendant of the 12 nobles and the Lord of Rochter City, making you a perfect match for our family, who are also descendants of the 12 nobles. Besides, I'm not afraid you're laughing. My mother also said that your territory pension is a considerable amount, and our Losmeyer family has a low income, so our marriage is definitely a perfect combination. Is your mother a businessman? I knew it would make Shapiro unhappy, but I couldn't help but satirize. So, are you in a hurry to make your daughter a widow? Use your daughter's future for family transactions. This reason is too hasty. Maybe it's just an excuse from Shapiro's mother. Listen to me finish speaking. Sure enough, Xia Bofiai glared at me with displeasure. So what if you're going to die early? Don't you want to leave yourself a descendant? You said you would die early. There are many young soldiers on the battlefield who died young, and there isn't one more of you. Moreover, if you marry Morency, even if you die, Morency will still be the Countess of Rocktow. As long as you have a child with Morency before you die. What kind of messy theory is this? I'm getting increasingly confused about Shapiro. No, it's how Shapiro's mother and son grew their brains. Are Morency and I the machines you're considering specifically for giving birth to children? First of all, I can't agree with your theory. Also, will Morency agree? Morency. Of course she would. Morency doesn't want to be with you every day like Miss Sakura does. Hearing Sakura makes my heart ache. Morency just wants your gentleness, your recognition, and your name is enough. Don't forget that Morency is a member of our family. Marrying a soldier and leaving offspring for excellent soldiers is her mission. She has long known her future and will always live happily together. That's a story that only happens in childhood fairy tales, and it has nothing to do with our military family. Your family is really ruthless. I stared blankly at Xia Bofiai in front of me, who was no longer sure if he was a fool or a monster. In the end, I could only utter this sentence. Sacrificing one's future for the glorious family tradition. Do you think your daughter and sister's future is just about inheriting a title and raising children for others? Whether life will be happy in the future and whether marriage will be happy are not within the scope of consideration. Perhaps it is normal for aristocratic families who value family traditions like this, but as the adopted son of Hironi, the leader of the Wind Cavalry Regiment who yearns for the wind of freedom, I cannot accept the argument of sacrificing family happiness recklessly. Moreover, looking back on a few years ago, when I had to sacrifice happiness for the sake of national interests and married Tagwek, my heart is still deeply engraved with her expression of despair towards reality and the pain of separation. How could I let others follow such a similar path? Moreover, Morency likes you, admires you, and having a son for the national hero Count Rokter is her best future. And, more importantly, Charlotte, who had been reciting fluently for a while, suddenly closed her mouth with an expression of overdoing it. Here comes the key point. You've been retelling your mother's words, haven't you? My tone turned cold. Your mother didn't just say that. What about the rest? Don't want to say it. It's not that I don't want to say it. It's just that I find it absurd. Shapiro scratched his reddish-brown hair with a strange expression. We didn't intend to hide it from you either. My mother's suggestion for Morency to marry you is related to a family prophecy. Family prophecy. N. The swallow from the nest helps me fly high. The swallow leaving the nest helps me fly high. The swallow leaving the nest helps me fly high. Ha. The bird from the nest helps me fly high. Hee hee. I understand. The previous speculation is indeed true, and the relationship between the Shapiro family and my family is indeed as speculated. On my family emblem, there are two swallows. The swallow leaving the nest, which naturally refers to me, the swallow leaving home. Help me fly high, is just like the literal meaning, I, joining the Shapiro family will bring them greater family glory. I believe Xia Bofiai's mother understands it this way. The Duke of Selena's test also proved that at the strategic level, I am indeed superior to Shapiro. Now, as Shapiro's staff and strategist, I am the most capable person in assisting Shapiro. If we are firmly tied together through a family alliance, I can make up for the part that Shapiro lacks. Naturally, Shapiro will achieve even higher accomplishments and bring greater glory to the family, which further confirms the prophecy. Help me soar high. Unfortunately, they were wrong from the beginning, outrageously wrong. The phrase, the swallow leaving the nest helps me fly high, is not a prophecy from Xia Bofiai's ancestors, but a fact left by his ancestors. It is a fact that has already occurred. Xia Bofiai. I carefully measured my words, I have other thoughts about that prophecy. But I'm not very certain at the moment. I'll tell you when I have definite evidence. Now I can only say that the direction of that prophecy is not what your family is interpreting now. And maybe it's not even a prophecy at all. It's not a prophecy, it's not. The swallow leaving the nest refers not to me, but to my ancestors who came from the east, help me fly high. According to inference, my ancestors once helped the Shapefy family. As for the method of assistance, it is naturally shown in the Shapefy family emblem, allowing the eagle to stand on the back of the dragon, so that it can fly higher. This statement only states a fact, that the family of Xia Bofiai rose to power through borrowing, dragon, power from others. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net afterwards, perhaps it was gratitude, perhaps just as Shapiro's mother understood it, Shapiro's ancestors, Shapiro's family, continuously assisted my Rokter family through alliances over the long years, so that my family and Rokter's bloodline would not be prematurely cut off due to the curse. Just like Morency now, marrying a soldier and leaving offspring for them has become the highest pursuit of women in the Shapefy family in their lifetime. Think about it, as descendants of the 12 nobles, how many other families still hold military positions besides my and Shapiro's family? As long as the beliefs of the Shapiro family remain unchanged, there is a high probability that the female members of his family will marry and have children for the Rokter family. Therefore, deliberate assistance is simply a prophecy, a tradition is well hidden, and on the surface, no one will notice the connection between the ancestors behind these two families, which is only due to military positions. Haha. This way of hiding seems to be, whether it's a prophecy or not. Xia Bofiai in front of me didn't realize how much thought flashed through my mind in an instant. In short, I have conveyed the opinions of our family, and I have also told you Morency's intentions. I am going to report to the military headquarters now, and I will come back tonight. My father will invite you to dinner, during which time my mother will talk to you about Morency's marriage. If you are willing, it's good, but if you are not willing, I hope you don't embarrass my mother. Hey. Isn't this a forced buying and selling event? Can I refuse to attend? Join the dinner party. Are you forcing me to make a decision so soon? Headache. Oh. By the way, Morency will also attend dinner. Don't make her cry anymore. Hey. Don't leave. What should I do next? Don't leave me, this useless person who can't run away. Chapter 6. The Undead, Shalith. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What is God? What is fate? What kind of existence is the god of fate praised by minstrels? I don't know. If you ask me, I can only say, I don't know what kind of existence it is. I only know that it is a bastard who likes to play pranks without knowing the severity. After making so many arrangements and preparations, in the end, it only turned me into a useless person and made Sakura travel to the east with the attention of an ancient dragon, a bastard. A bastard who plays with human fate. A jerk who enjoys seeing people troubled and thanking the gods of fate for their blessings. I, who was originally troubled by the dinner party that Xia Bofiai had mentioned and was preparing to escape with little Fry as night fell, never expected that it would still be a joke of fate, a small one that troubled me. Now, I am lying comfortably in the carriage, sipping the freshly brewed black tea from little Fry while lazily flipping through military documents. Shalith Plain. I never imagined that I would go back there again, to the place where my hero legend was created, to command battles, to eliminate enemies that threaten the kingdom. Moreover, what needs to be eliminated may also be my former comrades in arms. The army of the undead. Just a month ago, on this plain of Shalith, which had killed tens of thousands of soldiers in battle, perhaps now called Shalith Hills is more appropriate, as the former Shalith Plain has become a ravine-filled hill since the destruction of the knights by the massive rock and soil falling from the sky. A dense fog suddenly rose up that could not be dispersed. The fog was so dense that anyone entering the dense fog would find it difficult to breathe, and in the dense fog, shadows were faintly seen walking back and forth. After a few days, the thick fog gradually dissipated, and the scouts responsible for reconnaissance on the outskirts were horrified to find that the once barren and lifeless hilly area was not only filled with a few gray-white translucent spirits, but also with a zombie army of hundreds stationed within reach. What's even more frightening is that this zombie army even has a military flag. A blood-red skull embroidered on the flag. Any scout with a little knowledge knows that it only took 3 days to capture the castle of the Kingdom Fortress, the flag of the mercenary group in Rockter City. The Blood Annihilation Mercenary Group. The mercenary group annihilated by Ashitaro's funeral corps, the flag of the Blood Annihilation Mercenary Group. Afterwards, the development of the event became very logical. Upon learning of the appearance of the undead army in Shalith, the Great Temple sent a monk's army to purify. Unexpectedly, the undead zombies who had previously acted in silence and only knew how to devour life would launch an organized and planned counterattack against their nemesis, the holy clergy. Meanwhile, the monk's army, who sang God's glory and rushed directly into the battlefield, was easily defeated by the zombies, resulting in the almost complete annihilation of the entire army. According to survivors, the commander of the zombie army was Archimedes, the commander of the Blood Annihilation Mercenary Corps, who had been proven dead for many years. Destroy my home, almost put me to death, take away Shouty, the already destroyed Blood Annihilation Mercenary Corps. Is this the chance that the god of fate has given me, this useless person, to seek revenge? 1,000 people. I was stationed on the banks of the Inn River, facing the undead army on the other side from afar. I smiled bitterly and patted Xia Bofiai's shoulder. 1,000 to 30,000. The Great Temple really looks up to you. I didn't expect it to be like this either. Xia Bofiai scratched her head in embarrassment. The order I received at the military headquarters was to immediately lead a team and assist the cathedral in resolving the undead incident. Who knew that so many undead would emerge in a few days' effort? Damn it. It's really unlucky. After the failure of the expedition team, the great cathedral immediately began to customize a new campaign plan and requested that our military send generals who could compete with Yakimeji to assist in the campaign. Upon receiving the order, Xia Bofiai came with me, who was trying to find an excuse to escape from her marriage to Morency. According to intelligence, Yakimeji's army is less than 1,000 people, and even if we include the wandering spirits on the hills, it is only 2,000 to 3,000 soldiers. The task is very easy, consisting of the monk corps of the Great Holy Temple and 1,000 elite cavalry from the Hyenary Castle directly under Xia Bofiai. Singing some holy light bullets and sending some cavalry with holy light protection to flank. Even Yakimeji, who has military intelligence, is just fish and meat on the chopping board. Unexpectedly, in just a few days, Archimedes' undead army expanded to tens of thousands of people. From a distance, the entire hilly area was densely packed, almost entirely filled with vengeful spirits, skeletons, and zombies. If you're right, these days Archimedes has dug up all the bones of the knights who were buried on the spot after the Battle of Solace a few years ago to expand his army. Trouble. Even more troublesome. According to the news obtained from the scouts' reckless investigation, in the depths of the hills, where the undead army was enveloped, there appeared several giant portals that were gradually becoming stable, with several witches casting spells beside them. Witches are said to be a gathering place of a large number of vengeful spirits, possessing their own will and powerful ability to cast spells. From a magical level alone, the magic of witches far exceeds that of human higher-level mages. As for their expertise in dark magic, their destructive power is beyond the reach of human mages. And the giant portal that is about to gradually stabilize under the joint casting of witches. Who knows what will be teleported there? Viscount Xia Bofiai, the monk soldier commander who was waiting here in advance reported, just sent a message from the Great Hall that reinforcements have been dispatched and are expected to arrive in 2 days. How many reinforcements are there? The group of deities led by digital deities, along with the monk court dispatched a day ago, consists of a total of 300 people. 300 clergy plus 1,000 knights. There are only 13,000 people in total, 13,000 people fighting against 30,000 undead. 1,300. That means every 13 people have to fight against 300 undead. Oh, 13 is really a lucky number. Is that all? Xia Bofiai frowned, obviously feeling that his troops were too few. There's nothing we can do. The monk soldier also looked worried. The main force of the Great Holy Temple has been sent to the southern front line to participate in the Holy War. The troops left behind in the Great Holy Temple were not many. I wonder if the Viscount can be transferred to the army. Holy War, conquering the Demon World Expeditionary Force. The situation on the front line of fighting against the Demon Clan is very good. The Demon World Expeditionary Force. Oh, I don't even know what's happening in the rear. But now they shouldn't know either. I remember that in the past 6 months, the Expeditionary Force has not encountered any decent resistance in attacking the Demon World. The entire Expeditionary Force can be said to be advancing straight into the Demon World, and everyone is mocking the weakness of the demon race. When Shabafiai and I analyzed it, we considered that perhaps the demon race was showing weakness and waiting for the moment when the Expeditionary Force vented its anger. Maybe. No, not maybe. It's certain. Suddenly, a chill rose from the soles of the feet. Burial Corps. Captain Ashtaro. The Demon World General. The invasion of Rockter City, the annihilation of the Blood Annihilation Mercenary Regiment, and the Battle of Shalith Plains were almost all his works. If it were possible to plan a battlefield on the Solace Plain, using this battle to massacre a large number of knights, causing the entire plain to be filled with the vengeful souls of unwilling warriors, along with tens of thousands of dead soldiers. All within Ashitaro's plan. If he had known about the expedition plan of the Great Temple in advance and deliberately created a false impression of the weakness of the demon race, he would have activated the fully prepared portal of the Shalith Plain when all the expeditionary forces were pressing towards the front line. To the north of the plain is the Imperial City. Less than 2 days after passing through the Imperial City, UU reading www.uukangshu.net is the center of theology and the Great Cathedral, which has supported the beliefs and security of the mainland for hundreds of years. Once the teleportation gate is built, the army of the demon realm will instantly invade, and the expeditionary force will not be able to rescue them at all. So destroying the cathedral in one fell swoop, destroying the Shintoism is not a dream. Ashtaro has such a big plan. Are you overthinking it? After listening to my analysis, Shapiro shook her head in disbelief. Are you saying he was deploying such a plan a few years ago? Is it possible? If it's impossible, what do you think will come out of such a large teleportation door? I asked back. But this plan is too. Time is too long, there are too many variables, right? I took the lead and said, I also hope it's my unfounded concern, but if it's true. Maybe the attack on Rockter City is also within the plan. Not just to obtain my family's weapons, but also to give the Blood Annihilation Mercenary Corps a reason to be annihilated by the Burial Corps, and then perfectly disappear from the vision of the Great Temple. Now. Xia Bofei reached out and pressed the hilt of the love sword on her waist, staring at the undead on the other side of the river. Is it all we can do now? Although I don't want to admit it, I replied with a bitter smile, you can only do this now. The stable time from the teleportation gate will not drag on too long, and it is too late to send out a request for help to the expeditionary army now. Moreover, once the expeditionary army knows the danger in the rear, the outcome of Empress Tsang's retreat must be an instant counterattack from the Demon World Army. It is a foreseeable and terrifying massacre, with a loss of fighting spirit and a hasty retreat of the human army, in front of the long-planned and crazily pursuing Demon World Army. However, relying solely on the existing force of only 1,300 soldiers, is it possible to defeat the Undead army commanded by the commander of the Blood Annihilation Mercenary Corps and destroy the portal at the same time? Chapter 7. Dead Maggots, Unexpected Encounter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why are you still alive, Maggot? Didn't you say you can't move anymore? You're not dead yet. Damn it. How could you run into this disgusting thing anywhere? I'm sorry for appearing here. How did Sakura say the Eastern dialect that Sakura taught me? A narrow path for enemies. Yes. It's a narrow path for enemies, indeed it's a narrow path for enemies. If I had known that the digital god who came was this guy, I wouldn't have expected reinforcements from the Great Cathedral. Les brother, unlike the angry green-haired evil cat in front of me, little Luca happily plunged into my arms. Where have you been? Everyone is looking for you. Are you better now? Sigh. Although the reasons are different, little Luca. To some extent, I also don't want to see you at all because I have been avoiding your brother. It's much better than before. I was used to wanting to shake little Luca's silly head and trim her soft and smooth lake blue hair, but considering that the cat next to me had already exposed its claws, I was ready to pick little Luca back at any time and turn me into a vicious mother cat, so I had to give up and hang down my hand. After all, I am a useless person now, so it's better not to provoke her. Purple Light Sword, Minya, the sixth digital priest and mentor of little Luca, as a qualified clergyman, detests men far more than demons, and is a pervert with a serious lily-like tendency. For me, who may have snatched away her favorite little Luca's heart, it can be said that I have reached the point where as long as Luca is not around, she will always turn me into coke. I think if it weren't for her own image in Luca's mind, she would have made me black 10,000 times already. As for little Luca, my adopted sister, currently ranked 9th among the digital goddess and inheritor of one of the 3 sacred hallows of the church, the heavenly spear Iris, has a greedy and simple personality. With the protection of the heavenly spear, she can be said to be the only human who can resist the curse of the dragon in my body, not to mention the green cat next to her who has always hated me. Your Highness, please take it seriously. Before Minya could leave, little Fry on one side tried to pull little Luca away first. Your Highness is not in good health. If you press on him like this, he will feel very uncomfortable. Brotherless, he is. Little Luca didn't mean to leave my embrace at all, just lifted her body slightly, and then looked curiously at little Fry pulling at her hem. His name is Fry, my attendant, I briefly introduced. Oh. Attendant. She frowned slightly as she looked at little Fry, seeming somewhat displeased, but then spread a hopeful smile, lifted her head slightly, and looked at me with her bright blue and agile eyes. It seems that necessary rituals cannot be omitted. She sighed inwardly and reached out to stroke her little head again. Well, like a well-behaved kitten, little Luca squinted her eyes comfortably, as if she would also snore. All right. All right. The green-haired female cat next to her couldn't hold back any longer, pulling up little Luca while staring at me with resentment. What are you doing here, you useless maggot? How could you say that, Lord Earl? Before I could answer, little Fry blushed and started shouting, You're also a priest. Can you show some respect? Ha! He's not a maggot, what is he? Minya glared back at him fiercely, a useless limb that can only wriggle like a caterpillar, and his whole body still emits an unbearable stench. What's not a maggot? Lord Count doesn't stink. He takes a shower once a week. Ah! Washed only once a week. Minya pulled little Luca back more firmly, no wonder he smells so bad. Dirty. Dirty. Stinky. 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 Although little Luca, who was pulled away, didn't react as strongly as Minya did, she couldn't help but shrug her nose. Her gaze towards me was clearly asking, Ah. Brotherless. Is it true? Once a week. Is once a week considered less? Perhaps the 2 priests in front of me reacted too clearly, right? Little Fry looked over with a puzzled expression on his face. Indeed, for little Fry, who grew up on the desert border lacking water sources, taking a shower once a month is already a luxury. For someone like me who takes a shower once a week, their priests have to bathe once a day. Their clergy need to maintain their own physical and mental purity, I explained with a bitter smile to the feeling guilty little Fry, Ah. Don't be discouraged, the 2 of them are just exaggerating. In fact, it's common for priests to not bathe for a few days while carrying out missions. We're not as dirty as you maggot. Minya interjected in disgust. Yes. I was too lazy to argue with them on this issue, so I changed the topic and said, By the way, little Fry, go and fetch the dessert from the carriage. Forget it, you can take little Luca with you. Thank you, brotherless. Before little Fry could take a step, little Luca, who had heard of delicious food, had already flown away. Hello. Minya, do you have any other combat power in the great cathedral? I yawned boredly and asked, why do the digital divine officer in the great cathedral always send you too? At this moment, the night was hazy, and little Luca was focused on casting spells. Shabafi was busy calculating her combat power, while Minya, who had not been assigned a task, was vigilant and sandwiched between me and little Luca. She spread out the divine scripture in front of her, happily teaching little Fry. It seems that the young boy is not within the defense range of Minya's maggots. By the way, for the newly met Shapiro, the great Minya gave the following evaluation. Red cockroach. Probably because Shapiro has bright red hair, right? Minia didn't answer, just gave me a tired look with a look of, knowing you're still asking. Yes, if there was still combat power, the Great Holy Church wouldn't have sent such a few people just because it knew the situation was urgent. What about other digital gods? Have you all gone on an expedition? It is said that the 1st to 5th numerical priests usually bear the responsibility of guarding the Great Temple. Due to the death of the 2nd Flame Sword and the unknown whereabouts of the 4th Starlight in the Ashtaro campaign, the 1st, 3rd, and 5th figures guarding the temple are probably unable to separate. Since Minia, the 6th Purple Light Sword, who followed closely, was dispatched here, does that mean that the theological corps stationed on the riverbank at the current stage is the strongest combat force that the cathedral can send? Unreasonable. There are a total of 20 digital gods, only sending out the 6th-ranked Minia and the 9th-ranked Little Luca, who is almost inseparable from her, specifically referring to the fact that Little Luca often flies freely during missions. Normally, at least 3 to 5 more digital gods should be dispatched. A year ago, when the campaign against Ashtaro was launched, 4 digital priests were dispatched. Is this crisis no bigger than the campaign against Ashtaro? Once the portal is completed, the surging demon army will easily destroy the human world. It's even more ridiculous to say that all other digital priests were sent on expeditions. I remember the vanguard of the expeditionary force was a blood-colored priest directly under the Pope, and I never heard of any digital priests participating in the expedition. So, what about other digital gods? Where did you go? Ha! Just as I was buried in thought, Little Luca suddenly took a long breath, opened her tightly closed eyes, and stretched her arms lazily. Brother Les. Luca, I'm hungry. After finishing speaking, I looked eagerly at the half-piece of cake next to me. No way. Little Fry, who was quick to react, stood in front of the drooling Little Luca and shouted loudly, "The remaining cake belongs to the Count. The Count hasn't had dinner tonight." Whoa. The deep blue eyes looked at me pitifully. Little Fry, let her do it. I have reserve military supplies, I waved my hand with a smile. Oh, Luca, have you gained anything? Mm. Wait, mm. Ignoring Little Fray's disappointed expression, Little Luca hurriedly stuffed the cake into her mouth and then glanced sideways at the other side of the river. On the other side, a black shadow wrapped in a faint blue glow gradually rushed over the river, crossing the pontoon bridge built when facing it, and plunged into the arms of Little Luca, who had already opened his arms. Hee, so good, Little Luca chuckled and patted the head of the black cat that jumped into her arms, then raised her left hand. The black cat immediately transformed into fine light particles and was quickly stored in the magical imprint on Little Luca's left arm. Cat Bell, take a good rest first next time, let's play again. Chapter 8. Electric Shock, Military Discussion Tragedy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The magic cat Bell was originally a small black cat adopted by Little Luca, but with the help of Sakura and the demon King Helen, it has become the exclusive demon of the priest Little Luca. A clergyman who actually has a demon that can only be possessed by a magician, or a black cat that usually only appears next to a witch. To be honest, when I first heard this news, I really felt that the priest in charge of teaching Little Luca had a bad brain. Even if Little Luca was the heir of the holy weapon Heavenly Spear, she shouldn't be allowed to act recklessly like this. If that group of fanatics finds out, can Little Luca be safe? No matter how much you spoil, you still need a degree, right? Speaking of which, the priest responsible for teaching Little Luca that her brain is broken seems to be the green-haired lily evil cat Lord Minia in front of her. What is this? Do birds of a feather flock together? Brother Les, after receiving the cat Bell, Little Luca reported, there are a total of 5 portals, each with 4 witches responsible for magic enhancement. In addition, there are 2 witches guarding each portal. The diameter of the portal is about 4 meters, right? It seems unstable yet, probably. Luca estimates that it will take about 5 days to stabilize. Are you sure it's 5? Didn't you miss it? As a precaution, I continue to ask. How could it be? Little Luca pouted unhappily. Cat Bell has been running back and forth 3 times. Oh. 5 days. It only takes 3 days to mobilize troops from the Imperial City, which should give us more combat power. Not bad. The trouble is that there are 5 portals and 30 witches. Even if the witches who maintain the portal lack combat power, there are as many as 10 patrolling witches, troublesome. The original plan to attract a large army of zombies with the Divine Officer group and let little Luca use the sacred power of the Holy Spear to fly to the teleportation door in one fell swoop seems to be useless. As long as there are vengeful spirits nearby, the Lich can regenerate unlimited. That is to say, little Luca's purification power must exceed the Lich's regeneration speed in order to eliminate it in one swoop. After all, little Luca is only 11 years old and her endurance is too poor. Continuous purification of 2 is already barely enough. 10 Lich demons, Seresine, is there a way? Xia Bofei, who was listening attentively, also realized the difficulty of the battle. Can you stop relying on me all the time? I replied to him unhappily, at least you and I are both called Empire Double. This title was obtained by Asa playing me and Sakura together, and it's not a title of your own strength. It's inevitable to feel a bit guilty when you say it out loud. Why do you have to ask me everything? Don't you want to use your brain at all? Hee. This guy, whom Minia regarded as a red cockroach, awkwardly scratched his red hair. I've gotten used to it since I hired you as a staff member. Stop talking nonsense. How do you think you should fight? Don't forget that you received the order. I'm just here to accompany you on an outing. I first came up with a plan, but it was too risky and there were too many uncertain factors to mention now, which was also very dangerous. After all, the green-haired evil cat next to me would attack me at any time, so it's better to listen to Shapiro's plan first and take the opportunity to think more. I do have a plan. Xia Bofei didn't pay attention to my thoughts. Since he was asked, he answered honestly. First of all, confirm the strength of both sides. 20,000 cavalry on the opposite side, 10,000 vengeful spirits, and 10 guarding witches. All the witches' magic that maintains the portal is used for reinforcement, without any threat, right? After receiving confirmation from Minia, Xia Bofei continued, although there are a large number of zombie cavalry, the weapons blessed by the Holy Order and the Holy Power have special effects on them. Our cavalry is 1,000, and the Divine Order is 300. Within 3 days, we should be able to bring in about 5,000 cavalry from the Imperial City. In fact, the difference in combat power is not as large as the numbers. Of course, Yaki Meiji's command ability cannot be underestimated. The only difficulty now is that in this plane full of vengeful souls, the opponent has a strong recovery strength, so the opponent's long-term combat capability far exceeds our army. Once there is a battlefield stalemate, our side will inevitably be defeated. Nonsense. Who doesn't know about these things? Can you tell me how you're going to fight? Minia, who had no patience with men, obviously couldn't stand the routine lengthy remarks of Shapify before the war, and glared at me fiercely. Just say how can we fight? I remember undead creatures have an instinctive desire to destroy living beings, right? And I heard that undead creatures also have a strong sense of divine power, as if the stronger the divine power, the easier it is to attract undead attacks. Is that so? Shapify, who had no interpersonal sensitivity, didn't notice Minia's anger at all and asked foolishly. Sigh. I know that pre-military meetings are all about repeatedly confirming the battle plan, but what you're asking is unreasonable. Minia, do you want to die? So what? Originally, I was dissatisfied with Minia, who disliked me but still recognized my abilities since the last time we collaborated to kill the Elder of the Demon Realm, Jimsha, because I deliberately didn't speak. She was being worn away by the uninterested Shabafi for the last bit of patience. We can concentrate a little and then set up in formation by the teleportation gate. The Divine Order is responsible for clearing the witches and the teleportation gate. Our Knight's Order is divided into about 10 formations and divided into 8 directions to snipe at the undead. The extra 2 formations serve as maneuvers. As long as the teleportation gate is destroyed, we can evacuate. After repairing it, we can consider annihilating it. Will Archimedes make it so easy for you to break in? Ben Goe Ben, after all, he is a priest and instructor, and Minya still has some battlefield knowledge. Don't we have holy spears? Such powerful divine power. As long as Luca unleashes his power on the left side of the zombie cavalry, Archimedes and his army will definitely be attracted by Luca's bait. Pa bang. A thick purple lightning bolt shot out without warning, and poor Shapiro convulsively collapsed to the ground without any resistance. Proposal rejected. Next. The green-haired evil cat had a fierce look in its eyes, its left hand still flickering with residual electric light, coldly scanning all the men present. Perhaps it was because of his strong aura, including Little Fry, who admired Shapiro the most. Several people present, men, including me, were tense and frozen in place, not daring to take a breath of air. Ha! I guessed that you absolutely can't use little Luca as bait. Fortunately, it wasn't me who just spoke, it's okay. Sigh. Sister Minya. At this moment, only little Luca sighed helplessly, shaking her head and sticking the tip of the holy spear onto an unidentified black humanoid object that used to be shapified but now emits a roasted meat aroma, releasing a healing spell. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net. The power of lightning is much stronger than before. How can such a person become a priest? How many men would have died if it weren't for Luca being by her side? Maybe wherever she passes by, men will become extinct. Terrifying guy. I made a secret decision to never be with Minya, who didn't have Luca by my side. Hey. Dead maggot. What's your plan? I looked at the once humanoid object, carefully choosing my words. My plan is similar to that of Shapiro, Pop. The purple light in the evil cat's hand flashes again, but the bait is not little Luca. Ah. Is it Sister Minya? Little Luca frowned at the sound. Brother Les, it's not possible. Sister Minya majors in lightning, and her divine power is not strong enough. Not to mention, I also know that a vicious cat like this who casually discharges and kills men, how could it look like a divine power with a compassionate heart? Do you remember that Alves, the first and second digital deity, was also a devouring flame swordsman? There is no bottom line for recruiting digital deities in the cathedral. Anyone can be a digital god. Brother, I naturally know that Minya can't be used as bait. Besides, little Luca, isn't it too wasteful for you and Mimi to use such a powerful force as bait? I originally wanted to take the opportunity to tease the evil cat a few times, but thinking about it, life is still important. Actually, when it comes to bait, you don't necessarily have to do it. Who else can there be? Minya frowned. I can't do it. Even little Luca can't do it. Can you just find someone from the priesthood? Compared to us, their level is too low, it's impossible. I pointed to the black humanoid object that gradually recovered under the treatment of the healing technique. Me. Chapter 9. Before the War, Breaking the Appearance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Me. Xia Bofiai, who was amazed by everyone, looked confused. Me. How can I make bait? Even if I can rush to Ache Meji, he won't follow me. I don't have the divine power of a priest. Who said bait needs divine power? You're a living person, you know. You're a living person. Finding a bunch of living people has the same effect as attracting zombies. Are you saying you want me to lead troops? Xia Bofiai seemed to understand a bit. But Even if I lead troops to rush over, it's impossible to attract 20,000 cavalry. Don't forget that Yazumeji is an excellent commander, and even if I catch his attention, he won't send all his troops to pursue me. No, you're wrong. It's precisely because it's Ache-Meji that I'm confident he will definitely pursue you. How to say it? If it's an ordinary zombie, I can't guarantee it yet, I reminded him, but as you said, the leader of this group of zombies is Ache-Meji with command ability. Do you understand that? I don't understand. Stupid. I couldn't help but scold him, don't think those cavalry are zombies. Got it. Use what you're best at. What do you excel at the most? Xia Bofei lowered her head and pondered for a moment. Don't think about zombies. So. That's to say. A one-shot retreat. Inducing them to add fuel. Hee hee. It seems you're not that stupid yet. I leaned back in my chair with peace of mind as he finally understood what I meant. It's just a routine tactic, you idiot. Have you really become accustomed to relying on me? Ha ha ha, it's so simple. I really have you. Xia Bofei laughed happily, I haven't noticed it yet, ha ha ha. Hey. Maggot. What do you mean? Yes, brother less. I didn't understand Luca either. Oh. Just like last time, the two stupid gods here are still equally stupid. It's like this, Luca, I explained, don't be fooled by the unusual appearance. Just treat those zombie cavalry as ordinary cavalry, and the problem will be simple. Where is it simple? Minia, who couldn't understand, rushed to ask, no matter how you look at it, that's also a group of zombies. Zombies have no brains, but these zombie cavalry have a commander with brains. Ache-Meji, I continued to explain, this is the biggest weakness of this army. Luca, I don't understand. It's like this, said the foolish priest Minia, who was annoyed by her angry expression and wanted to ask questions, but after all, even little Luca was confused. I had to patiently explain from the beginning, a perfect army not only requires excellent commanders, but also soldiers who can quickly respond to commanders' orders and know how to enforce them. It is correct to have excellent commanders in this zombie army, but those soldiers are just a group of brainless zombies. Obeying orders should be fine, but the flexible and mobile response is almost zero. So do you two understand? After receiving confirmation, I continued, if Azumegi had a group of squad leaders or adjutants who were okay, he would command this huge army of zombies alone, not just a magician. He probably could only give simple commands to zombies. Now the question is, what would happen if an excellent commander had an army that could only accept simple commands? Will it be chaotic? Fortunately, Minia wasn't so foolish that she couldn't even see through this. Yes, it will be chaotic. As long as the command is slightly more complex, the army that finds it difficult to understand will inevitably become chaotic. Even the best commander is useless. So we just need to create a situation that causes chaos for the other party. And then it will be simple. So. How did this happen? Didn't Xia Bofei just say that? With a single strike, he broke away and lured the opponent to add fuel. Don't understand. Sigh. Let me put it this way. Xia Bofei led his troops to attack, feigned defeat, and what would happen? Ache-Meji will send troops to pursue. Although she was answering, Minia's expression was still very confused. Obviously, like the equally confused little Luca, she didn't understand my plan with Shapify. Yes, the best way for a cavalry regiment without the protection of a bow and arrow team to avoid frequent harassment is to take the initiative to attack. If it is a zombie that simply accepts instructions, it may stand in place and wait for the enemy to approach before attacking, but their commander is the commanding Yazumeji, who will definitely send troops. Although he will not send the entire army. More troops must be sent than the attacking troops. If Shapiri sends 1,000 troops if it were cavalry. Would he send at least 3,000 cavalry to pursue it, and then what? Isn't there still over 10,000 cavalry left? And that group of vengeful spirits. And then naturally, I created a situation where I was about to be caught up but couldn't, circling around Ache Megi. Taking the opportunity to explain to Minya and the others, Shapify, who had been thinking for a while, spoke on my behalf. In order to eliminate me, he had to gradually increase his troops for interception and pursuit. And then he needed to command more and more troops, resulting in increasingly complex and chaotic battlefield commands. And then. At this point, he awkwardly smiled at me and said, "Oh, Rex, and then what should I do?" And then naturally it's about these priests' affairs. It's the autumn breeze again. The desolate autumn wind carries a hint of withered yellow grass fragrance. It's still the clear moon in that round. It's so cold. Lonely, powerless, and unbearable. Staring blankly at the scattered torches in the distance, as well as the pale and shrouded night mist across from the torches. It doesn't belong to me. Well, everything doesn't belong to me. I don't belong now. Unwillingly wanting to clench his fist, the familiar yet unfamiliar pain still lingered in his arms. Intentionally self-deprecating and deliberately forgetting. The pain still constantly reminding me that I, who have accepted fate, am like a useless person. Give up. You are a loser of fate. Whoa, the black cat curled up on its legs seemed to sense my sadness, extending its snow-white front paws and gently scratching my arm. It's okay, Brother Les has already told us the method. UU reading www.uukangshu.net, you can rest well. Luca, I will work hard with Brother Les. In the afternoon, little Luca's words of comfort seemed to still ring in my ears. Are you also worried about me? He lowered his head and stood up cleverly, looking up at my black cat. It's okay, I'm used to it, he responded by touching the head of the cat Bell, while glancing sideways at little Fry, who was already unable to support his drowsiness and was sleeping soundly at the table. Originally, it was best to attack zombies during the day, but unfortunately, due to the influence of unknown spells from the opponent, the entire zombie cavalry regiment was shrouded in dense fog during the day, with only a few zombie teams patrolling the edge of the fog. So, we had to change the attack time to midnight. The magic of the Lich will increase under the moonlight. In order to quickly build the portal, they will disperse the white mist at night, which can make the Lich work twice as hard. It's almost time. Nah, Cat Bell, I slightly straightened the black cat's body so that I could look straight into its eyes, and then tried to say the instructions taught by little Luca, get ready. Meow. In response to my repeated training with little Luca, but ultimately it was not perfect, just giving in to the cat's meow. The ears of the black fluffy ball in front of me quickly trembled, then stood up and sat upright, while coiling its slender tail around its legs. Then, he lifted his eyes, which were shimmering with emerald light, and stared blankly at me. Gradually, the emerald green cat's eyes became deep, transparent, and captivating like the pitch-black night sky. In those clear eyes, dense figures gradually appeared. Soon, the figures became clearer and more distinguishable, and one could gradually see the hills far away from the figures, as well as the group of zombie cavalry soldiers dressed up and ready to go in the hills.